All right, back for episode 9, part 3 of our Microsoft Flight Simulator World Tour 2024. We took off a couple segments ago, we'll say, from Puerto Rico. We got through Puerto Rico pretty quickly. You can see it back there a ways. You can see St. Croix back there a ways now. That's the island right behind us. Puerto Rico actually is there once we zoom out. But we are heading onwards. I think the next island we'll get to, let me pull it up real quick on the Maps app. I've lost my spot. I got to reorient back to where we are. Please hold. So we've been through, we've seen Cuba, we've seen the Bahamas. We didn't go to Turks and Caicos. We'll have to hit that on the way back. We've seen Haiti and Dominican Republic. We've seen Puerto Rico. We saw that island called Viquez, and we've seen St. Croix now. Now we're headed to, looks like, Juancho y Urasquin Airport. SAB is the abbreviation, and then we'll be moving on to FDR International Airport, and then on to St. Kitts and Nevis. That's our schedule, at least for this episode. And we will be listening to the Friday, January 23rd episode of the Tony Kornheiser Show. As I'm recording right now, it is Friday, January 23rd. It is 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. This is going to come out on Wednesday of next week. So that'll be the 28th. At this point, we will know if my Nebraska Cornhuskers won or lost against Minnesota, and we'll know if they won or lost against Michigan. It could be 2 losses. I suppose it could be 2 wins. We'll have to see, but I'm hoping for the best. But right now, as I record this, Nebraska is 19-0 and ranked 7th in the country, so they're doing much better than any Cornhusker fan could have ever imagined. We'll also know the Super Bowl teams and all that, but let's get to the Tony Kornheiser Show from Friday, January 23rd, coming right up.
Hey, it's Tony. On today's show, we're going to talk to Jason Samenow of the Capital Weather Game to get the latest details on the winter storm that's headed to D.C. We'll also go around the NFL with Jason Lockenfora and James Carville and Jeff Ma, who'll phone in with their weekly picks. But first, how about a little commerce, boys and girls?
Look, wear them solo or a polo that looks great off
your daughter's beanbag.
The Weather Channel, by the way, they name their storms, and this one has a beautiful name, Fern. Fern, they're predicting this morning, will drop 2 to 3 feet over our area. They're the opposite of the Capital Weather Game.
They're ready to go. They're going on 4th and 13.
They know it rains. From their own 20.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
The Tony Kornheiser Show is on now.
That, of course, was Kevin Sheehan from the other day. Kevin Sheehan, his avocation is weather. It's not his vocation.
Yes.
We want to give you somebody whose vocation is weather, so we have brought in Jason Samenow of the Capital Weather Gang, which I swear by all the time. And Jason's very busy now, so he'll give us a couple of minutes. Let's get to the questions in order. I'm sure that everybody has. Every time you're introduced to someone and something's coming, I'm sure the questions go like this. Let's start with how much? How much in the Washington, D.C. region, inside the Beltway, how much are you thinking is going to drop?
Okay, so here's the deal. As of yesterday, we were calling for 5 to 10 inches of snow.
Right.
And the model data, which has come in overnight, would suggest that you want to take the under. You want to go closer to 5. There's still some upside, but what's going on is that we're seeing more likelihood of a quick change and prolonged period of sleet and freezing rain. So that means we're going to go from a thump of snow on the front end and then potentially more of an ice storm type situation for the back end of this storm. So that would lower snow totals some. And so we're going to be putting out new projections for snow totals probably midday today as some new data comes in. But yeah, it definitely looks like a mess in terms of, some snow for sure and, significant amount of snow, but then probably a significant amount of ice on top of that.
Okay. Second question is always the same. When will it start?
Yeah, a lot of people have that question because they have Saturday night plans, so understandable. The good news is that it's trended a little later, so you may be able to have your dinner plans on Saturday night. And we were initially thinking 7 to 10, now maybe 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. into Sunday morning for start time. So again, kind of still in flux a little bit, but a little bit later. So you're headed out. You should be able to get home safely Saturday night unless you're staying out into the pre-dawn hours.
Okay, so you're saying there's a minimization of snow, relatively speaking, and a maximization of sleet and freezing rain, and you use the scariest word of all. Ice is the scariest word. Ice is
Correct.
when you're my age and you're walking the dog. Ice is a broken hip or a broken rib. Ice is terrible.
Yeah.
Ice also melts a little quicker than snow, but it's terrible. What's the worst stuff about ice? Will it bring down power lines? Will it bring down trees? Will it crack roofs open? What is the ice forecast?
Yeah, so it's tricky because we're going to have a combination of sleet and freezing rain. And if it's more sleet are kind of these tiny bouncy balls. They don't stick to trees and power lines. So if you get a lot of sleet, that's okay. We can deal with that. But if the sleet goes over to freezing rain, and that's most likely in the southern half of our area, southern Maryland down toward Fredericksburg, but there's some chance it creeps a little bit north. I mean, this whole forecast has been shifting north over the past few days. So, we have to keep our the possibility open that we do get significant freezing rain here in the DC, in the Beltway area.
Right.
So there's a chance of that. And so, yes, if that worst case scenario were to pan out, we would have to worry about power outages because freezing rain, that clings to the power lines, that clings to the trees, and you can get some nasty power outages in that situation. And I think the thing to really stress about this storm is the cold air both before, during, and after it, because anything that falls is going to stick around for days and days. Temperatures may not rise above freezing all week next week, and usually when we get a winter storm around here, we thaw pretty quickly and things melt. But whatever falls, the snow, the sleet, the freezing rain, it's going to kind of congeal into a conglomeration of cement-like nastiness that is just going to basically transform DC into Fairbanks this week. So, I just want people to be aware that this is going to be a winter weather situation, a severe winter weather situation we're not accustomed to given the prolonged cold temperatures throughout this event and then afterwards.
Okay. When, as you look towards the future, when will we get over 32 degrees for more than 10 seconds? When is that going to happen?
I mean, maybe early next week, to be honest. Like, February, Groundhog's Day, I mean, it doesn't, I mean, I don't see anything this week. I mean, maybe we get close to 30, 32 later in the week, but, there's no pronounced warm-up that I can see in the long range at this point. Again, I've been so focused on this storm, I haven't looked much past, 10 days, so, maybe it'll be a warm-up after that. I mean, it'd be unusual for it not to eventually thaw.
Well, eventually, it's called May. Eventually, it thaws. So this is going to be on the ground for a while. So if you want to go play golf locally, you're not going to be able to do it till March, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could go out today. The high's going to be around 40, not too bad. And then, if you want to golf in the teens tomorrow, feel free. But good luck to you.
Yeah. Okay. So when you do look ahead, you're seeing a block of cold temperatures. Are you seeing any more snow when you look ahead?
There's a chance of a light snow event midweek. Again, not focused on that right now. It's not going to be a big deal system, right? One of these kind of Alberta clippers. But, I mean, and for that storm, the cold air will be in place. We won't have to worry about ice with that one, but I don't think it's going to be a lot if we get anything.
So I have, like, the sort of general questions that I'm sure you get all the time.
Sure.
Which is, the first one is, and I don't want to say it was an alarmist forecast, and I'm not going to attach it to the Capital Weather Gang, but one of the good things you do is you always print what the modeling looks like. You identify who's doing the modeling and what they say. And 3 or 4 days ago, it did look like it could be 18 inches. I mean, that was something that was being talked about. Well, I don't know if it's being talked about, but you could read it, 18 inches. Now it's pretty far down from 18 inch, 5 inches, 6 inches, even 10 inches is way down from 18 inches. What are the things that prompt that?
Yeah, so I mean, basically the models were sort of they were kind of stuck on this idea that the cold air at higher altitudes would remain locked in, and so this would be more of a snowstorm rather than a sort of hybrid snow and ice storm. Mm-hmm. And that's why they were giving us those big snow totals. And the amount of precipitation that the models have been forecasting has been about the same. It's just been the distribution of snow versus ice, which has changed. So, yeah, they were thinking mostly snow early on because they kind of thought that the southern jet stream wouldn't get as involved and pump in as much warm air, but now that's happening, and so you're introducing a lot of ice into the equation. And in terms of our own forecast, I mean, we did obviously print out what the models were saying, but none of the reliable models that there were, I mean, like the European AI, and that model was showing like historic amounts of snow. I mean, whenever that happens, you have to be skeptical because most long-range big snowstorm predictions don't pan out. I mean, it's a probability thing. I mean, DC only gets a snowstorm of 15 inches or more about once a decade. So when you see that, you should be skeptical. I mean, we had our probabilities of a foot or more, and this was our own judgment at 35%. So we said there's about a 1 in 3 chance that would happen. We were telling people what the model data was saying, but we were our own judgment. Not terribly likely, but you have to keep it on the table because your most reliable modeling showing a signal, right? And the models were right. We were going to have a major winter storm. They just didn't have the details correct at that range.
You have mentioned Fairbanks a couple of times. For people that don't know where that is, it's in Alaska. So if we're going to get what we're going to get, if we're down to the 5 to 10 range, maybe on the lower end of the 5 to 10 range, who's going to get it? Is somebody going to get 18 to 24?
Interior Pennsylvania and New York. I think if you're nearer the I-95 corridor, you're more in the the snow and ice storm category. But if you were to get mostly snow, you have to go more into the interior the way it's looking now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's disappointing for snow lovers, and for us it could be potentially hazardous if we do get that freezing rain. So that's something we're going to be watching. So of course you want to stay tuned to our forecast. We'll be fine tuning in, and by tomorrow I think we'll have a really good sense as to what the distribution of snow versus ice will be, and how much of the ice will fall to sleet versus freezing rain. And we could get an unusual amount of sleet from this storm. We could get 2 or 3 inches of sleet.
But sleet's not bad, you said.
Well, the thing about sleet is that it's when it's sleeting, the visibility isn't as bad as it is, when it snows. You can see better when it's sleeting, but the sleet still accumulates on roads, and it still runs everything over. So it's still, hazardous for your walkways and for roads. Okay. But it just doesn't stick to trees and power lines. So you'd much rather have sleet. And the other thing about sleet is that it contains a lot of water packed into it. So if you get 2 or 3 inches of sleet, that's like the equivalent of like 10 inches of snow. It takes a long time to melt. 2 or 3 inches of sleet is like really, really compact snow. And so, again, we're going to be getting a lot of frozen precipitation, whatever the mix is. And then, with temperatures in the teens and 20s and even single digits at night, this all freezes together. I mean, it's going to be around a long time, and I think that's what I want to impress on people. And it's going to be difficult to clear. So what I would tell people is, like, you want to stay ahead of this storm. You want to get the salt down. You want to be shoveling frequently, because if you don't, it's going to be really tough to remove by Monday. So you want to stay on top of that on Sunday.
Okay, so let me get to the last question here. This is courtesy of my son, who noticed this yesterday when he was shopping, that supermarkets put up signs that say winter storm preparedness, and people go insane. This is Washington, D.C. This is the capital of the United States of America. This is not rural Pennsylvania. I'm going to assume that however long it takes rural Pennsylvania to get back and running, we're 1/10 of that, right? This is Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I mean, I think, just because of the cold temperatures, during and after the storm, it's going to take a little bit longer for us to bounce back from this storm than most. And I think, obviously, I think our crews around here do a good job keeping sort of the major thoroughfares clear. And so, you'll probably be able to get around on the Beltway and, I-95, Route 50, 66 on Monday, but it's the neighborhoods.
Right.
And I think, just because things are going to freeze over pretty quickly, and because of the amount of frozen precipitation, it's just going to take some time to get to those areas.
So let me just ask, I think, what a reasonable question would be. Sometime is what? Today is Friday. By next Friday? By next Thursday? By next Saturday? When?
I mean, it all depends on, how good the plows are reaching your neighborhoods. And, everybody is different on that. The plows in D.C. get to my street quickly. But, I don't know if you're in Upper Montgomery County or in Western Fairfax County. I mean, it might be in the middle of the week before you're able to get out. So I don't think it's going to be, there's some storms, like the Snowmageddons, where we get 20 inches of snow where it takes 4 or 5 days. I mean, I would say it won't be that long, but it's going to take some time, I think.
I mentioned this the other day. There was one of these snows. I have no idea which one it was or when it was. But we used to work at the radio station in Rockville. And across the street was a big shopping center. And they piled up all the snow, as high as they could, a tower of snow. And it was like 30 feet in the air. It didn't melt till May. Like everything else was going on, and it was 70-degree weather. It wasn't down to the bottom until May, right?
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, I don't think we're seeing that situation. There's just not going to be that much snow. But again, the snow and ice, it's going to be a challenge for the region, I think.
So my kids will be out of school for a while.
Yeah, there's going to be no school next week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think at least a couple of days off, probably longer.
Yeah.
And can I just make a recommendation to everyone? I know we all read the Capital Weather Gang.
We do read
on the Washington Post and WashingtonPost.com. Follow them on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, because you guys give updates all the time. You've answered questions. Like even late at night, you give updates. It's just it's such a supremely wonderful thing.
We're happy. We wish you luck.
And they explain when and where they were wrong.
Yes. We always hope you're wrong.
Accountability.
We always hope you overestimate. Everybody does. Everybody hopes
I'm hoping
that.
I'm wrong about the ice on this one. That's the thing. I'd rather us have snow and sleet than the freezing rain. So, but it's going to be a close call on that. So just stay tuned.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Jason Samino, Capital Weather Gang. We will take a break. As we do all Jason Day, we will have Jason Lockenfora when we return. And then maybe Jason Day later in the show. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
Home projects.
25 grand on a Will Bond to say hocus pocus junk. First 10 minutes of PTI. 50 grand on Mr. Tony to say a Uranus joke while wearing a tie. 60 grand on Pat, 40 to use the phrase bull eligible. 100 grand on Carvel to say something unintelligible. 200 grand on Booger to wear a pastel golf shirt. $250,000 on Hot Pink Hangover to make Tony blush and flirt. Have a mill if the Nats never again sign Colin Pachi. A mill if Greg Garcia blows away Nate Bargatze. Don't worry, fellas, we'll make it worth your while. Play ball, boys, you'll be living in style. Don't worry, fellas, we'll make it worth your while. Play ball, boys, you'll be living in style.
From the great T.N. Byrne, who writes, betting scandals are good for songs anyway, aren't they? The great Dan Byrne plays in Jason Lockenfora, and we play him in with a note from Nathan Ackerhelm in Charlotte, North Carolina. Just wanted to shout out to Jason Lockenfora and Beltway Ben for the Loyola Marymount Seattle bet of under 138.5 on Wednesday night. Lobster for many nights to come. I didn't even know there was such a game. Do you want to explain what happened?
Got a little quasi-sweaty at the end there, Tone. But that was a Beltway Ben call that I co-signed. But we have been on Loyola Marymount quite a bit. And one of the better defensive teams in the country. If you want to stay up late for some whack basketball, there's a pretty good chance we've got a lean or a play for you at one of them.
And so you had the under on that one?
We had the under, yes, sir.
Okay, well, it was a big lobster night for Nathan, so it's good for that. Let's start. We're going to do a lot of coaches. We'll ask you about the games that are coming up, but a lot of coaching stuff, obviously. But let me start with Buffalo before Baltimore. Are you surprised that Buffalo fired Sean McDermott?
I'm more surprised about the way they handled the firing of Sean McDermott than I am that they ultimately parted with him. And I was surprised that they did that after winning a playoff game and then losing one the way they did. And given some of the personnel issues, especially on the defensive side of the ball, which is his forte. I was, the way that's been handled has surprised me, and it hasn't made the people involved in trying to whitewash their role in his tenure there, and how things are done in that building. The owner in particular has just come off as petulant and kind of a brat. I get that people get frustrated when it feels like a coach or an organization is butting up against a certain point that they can't get over. But not many people get to, and more people should. But in this league, as inefficient as it is, and with so many organizations who just can't get out of their own way for decades on end, not everybody bumps up against it every year. And the fact that that guy is what was holding us back, that guy who in many cases was a glue to help get you from Monday to Saturday to be ready to play that game and at least put you in position to win that game in most games you play in. Someone who had a role in making sure that the adults beat the children in a lot of the screaming fits and, running for attention to daddy, and daddy's the billionaire who decides all this. I don't think that it's going to come out real well for a lot of these teams, frankly, that have decided, yes, even though this guy accomplished things that, no one in our franchise has done before and few people in history have done before, we're going to find somebody younger, cheaper, and more malleable in many cases to now get us over the top. It feels a little counterintuitive to me.
Okay. But is that job, even with whatever criticisms have come down on the owner and the general manager, that job has Josh Allen? How desirable is that job? Because I think it's real desirable.
It's absolutely, it's desirable. Now, that's one, again, where I think they're going to look into their, oh God, I love the word culture. Boy, can you tell how much I love it. They're going to look at their football culture, and they're going to want somebody, I believe, who they think is from their football culture, because they think their football culture is Super Bowl worthy. Again, it's just been the mook on the sidelines for 3 hours a day who keeps us from getting to our manifest destiny.
Right. Okay.
So, much like what just happened in Baltimore, I believe it'll be a similar thing in Buffalo, and that it's going to be Brian Dable or it's going to be Davis Webb. I would be real, and take what I think, because my opinions are based on reporting and who I'm talking to in the league, and people who have a good feel for this, and people who are staffing other teams' coaching staffs. There is a strong sense that they're going to get somebody who's already sort of within their cocoon at some period of time, and that they're going to dive into that, and it almost will be like a reconfirmation of all the great stuff we had going on with us. We just didn't have the right guy to get us over the top. I'll be real surprised if a lot of these teams don't take a step backwards.
So that embraces and envelops Jesse Minter being the coach at Baltimore, who has experience on the defensive side with the Baltimore Ravens. So that is not a pick that surprises you, but and their defense needs help. But how will Lamar view this?
Well, I mean, Lamar's not, he's an employee. Lamar has no history in staffing. He's got no history in being involved in this. And frankly, Lamar right now he's got a contract, but it's a contract that needs to be really torn up and redone again. So, Lamar's got to have a relationship with the offensive coordinator. It certainly sounds like they want to bring Cliff Kingsbury in there, which I think will be another mitigated disaster. Down the road, we just went from Jake Daniels having a rookie season for the ages. They wanted this guy out of the building by Thanksgiving. They were done with him midway through this year. They felt like, we got other people on our staff who are better than him, smarter than him, have a better emotional intelligence than him, who are making far less than him, and frankly, we do a better job with them than this guy who struts and peacocks around like he invented, the offensive side of football. The relationship with the quarterback was already deteriorating. I mean, I'm old enough to remember this guy was hired because they were going to take Kyler Murray 1-1. And he's a quarterback whisperer, and he's already got a relationship with Kyler Murray. And those two hated each other 2 years in. Like, I mean, I don't... And if that's what they do, and it sounds like that's what they want to do, I think it will be ripe with potential pitfalls. I think there are red flags everywhere. And look, I think Jesse Minter has a really good shot to be a really good head coach. I just don't know why... I have reservations about it happening here. And if you feel that strongly about Jesse Minter, they wanted to hire Jesse Minter 6 weeks before they fired Jim Harbaugh. Like, the whole league, though. Like, Jesse Minter was the next head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. So you could set up a process where it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you interview people who you know you're never giving the job to, even if it's 18 of them, so that you can then hand it to Jesse Minter. Or if you really think Jesse Minter's that great, why wouldn't you want to stack Jesse Minter against Sean McDermott just to see? Like, why wouldn't you want to spend 6-8 hours with Sean McDermott, who's actually done the job and who's won a playoff game, 6 straight years, and, you know, who, if you look at that team the last 6 years, they have the number 1 scoring differential and they've allowed the fewest points, and this guy's been a head coach. Why would you not stack him against, why would you categorically never even make an inroad to Sean McDermott and then very quickly hire Jesse Minter within 48 hours of Sean McDermott becoming available? But it would seem to me, if you really think he's the guy, wouldn't you want to, because you hope you only do this once every 10 years or whatever, wouldn't you want to put him up against the best and the brightest available who've already done the job, just so you could maybe have a better idea or a different idea? Strikes me as a self-fulfilling prophecy. That doesn't usually go very well in this league, though.
Okay, all right. From mentioning John Harbaugh, who made this available, are you surprised he took the job with the Giants?
No, I think it was going to be the Giants or the Falcons, and whoever got the first face-to-face with him, whichever billionaire got a chance to start wooing him and whining him and dining him first, was going to have a chance to seal a deal before anybody else did.
Okay.
He wasn't going to take 4 or 5 or 6 interviews. There were really only... There were 3, there were technically 4 he prepped for, but 3 that he heavily, that I think people in his inner circle were like, he could see himself here and we could see him here. And look, I give the Giants a lot of credit. They did some very un-Giant-like things to get to the head of the class, which wasn't just relying on, we're the New York Football Giants. It was actually putting people in motion and having human beings getting on planes and getting on the phone and recruiting him, wowing him. And that included, in totality, their ownership group, which kind of has a couple different factions, being aligned on this one. And when they got their audience with him, making it count and being willing to do something else that they haven't been willing to do forever, which is alter the way that they structure their hierarchy so that the coaches, now he's essentially a team president and the head coach.
Yeah, he's not reporting to a GM. He's not.
Bill Belichick. He's the team president, and he's the head coach. And that's a paradigm that hasn't existed there really ever. I mean, during his rise, you could say that Parcells basically had it at a period of time, but boy, did he have to do some ish for them before he earned it.
Yes.
This guy's coming in the door.
Yes.
Walking in the door, you're here, you're gone, new training staff, paint the walls this color, new personnel staff, I get direct line to the owner. The GM basically has to go through me to get to the owner. Like, it's a whole different paradigm. But good for them for being willing to be that malleable and do those things. Because if they didn't do those things, guess what? Arthur Blank was waiting with a plane ready to do all that.
Yeah, you also had 4 straight coaches who were terrible. So, that's why you were going to change. All right. In terms of the games this weekend, the loss of Bo Nix means what, really? Does it eliminate Denver or no?
No, I don't think it eliminates Denver. And as the week's gone on, and the more I've gone back and rewatched what Stidham's done, both with the Raiders and with the Broncos, and it's not. I get it. That's not a championship game. But the more work I've done on him, the more people I've talked to, the more we've given out sort of plays on this on One a Bet through the week. I feel like a mook and a bit of a square for jumping on the 5.5 early when it was out there and laying that 5.5 with the Patriots. I think Sean Payton will have a plan for this guy, and I think he understands who he is, and he already, again, you go back and watch these 4 starts. I know they're just 4 starts, and I know they're with teams that really weren't going anywhere, but he already understands who he is. He wants to throw the ball to the running backs. He wants to throw the ball to the tight ends. And he does a little more with his legs than you think. And he's not Bo Nix from the athleticism and the sort of the dervish and that. He doesn't have that acceleration and some of that giddy up. But, like, he's nimble and spry enough. And this is going to be different. What nobody's talking about here is the Drake May part of it, which is he's been pretty damn pedestrian at best. And he's been able to do that because he's been at home and they played with these leads. And C.J. Stroud had a generational meltdown. But going to Denver in altitude is something else. I mean, I can remember peak Tom Brady and us broadcasting the game and being on the sidelines for the whole of that Denver, New England AFC Championship game, and just seeing what the course of those 3 hours did to people like Pete Gronk. And Denver's a different place to play, and this is his first playoff game on the road. And it's a winner go home for the right to go to a Super Bowl. I mean, that's going to be a factor. And so, yes, I think that they can keep this close. And will he make a mistake or two? Sure. I also think Drake May is making a mistake or two. I think New England wins the game ultimately, but and look, if I am backing Denver, I'm a little concerned that Jarrett Stidham came to rise in New England, and do they have a bit of a book on him? Do they know some throws he'll never make? Do they know some tells? Does Josh McDaniels have to know enough about his psyche and how he's wired that, you know, maybe they know him even better than Sean Payton? I don't know. But I don't think it's certainly not a death knell, Tom. Like, there's certainly a lot. Again, as the week's gone on and you get away from the knee-jerk reaction, you start doing the work, like, they're live for me.
Okay, we're good on that. Seattle Rams?
I lean Rams. I mean,
you do?
Obviously.
Okay.
They played one game that was an absolute shootout, you know, at the OK Corral. They played another game that was an under game. I think it could go either way here. I have reservations about it. I do think something's up with one of Stafford's digits, and if it's from talking to former quarterbacks and people, like, if it really is at the end of one of those fingers, there's not much you can do about it. He's just got to continue to sort of adjust and deal with it. And I don't know about Darnold's oblique. I'll tell you this. I don't think they're winning this football game with Sam Darnold completing 12 of 17 passes. You know what I mean? And only taking, like, one deep shot. Like, I don't think that template's going to fly here. But what could decide it is some of the stuff that got San Francisco behind the 8 ball early, special team. And that Shanahan-McVay family tree has had special teams issues and special teams issues in big spots. I mean, LaFleur's had it, Kyle's had it, Sean's had it. Like, and Seattle's got a big advantage in special teams, and obviously the home field advantage as well. So I kind of think the Rams win the game. I think they lean on a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. And while Puka makes some splash plays, I think they toggle between those tight ends, and Stafford finds the best matchup. And that is the underbelly of McDonald's defense. As elite as it is, you can funnel things through tight ends and sustain drives and score points. And I suspect McVay leans into that approach.
Okay. Plug one a bet for us, Jason.
You can check out me and the esteemed Beltway fan of the Loyola Marymount Seattle Under every day, usually around 11 a.m., pretty much always around 11 a.m. on WannaBet. If you're thinking about making sports wagers, a couple bucks or a lot of bucks or somewhere in between, we will guide you through everything we're betting that day and for days future, because you want to get ahead of value on some of these lines because they do move quite a bit. We'll explain why we're doing what we're doing, strategies behind it, and we will show our work.
Well, that didn't go how I anticipated. Let's let's pause the podcast as we got caught up in the trees. We just could not get any elevation for some reason there. Let's go to main menu. We know where we are. We'll just start from the air there. And we don't need a full tank of gas. We do want to change the time, I think, though. Where are we at? Right about here? Where were we? Oh, so we were down here. Yeah, we passed that. That's where we were. All right, so let's start right here. Set as departure. Adjust the time. We'll set it to about, I don't know, 11 a.m. or so. There we go. And we'll be right back.
We've destroyed NFL single-game windows all season long. So wanna-bet-with-us.com will take you to all of our content, audio, visual. There's kangaroos, there's dogs. It
Can't be better.
It's a bonanza. It can't be kangaroos and dogs, right? I mean, come on.
We'll talk to you later. Thank you, Jason.
Have a great week, guys. Thank you.
Jason Lockenfora, boys and girls. When we come back, we will have James Carville, we think, and we will have Jeff Mao, we hope. We don't know. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
You're listening to The Tony Kornheiser Show. The Tony Kornheiser Show.
Well, you wake up in the morning, boy. You hear the ding-dong ring. Then you look upon the table, boy. You see the same darn thing. You find no food upon the table, boy. There's no fork up in the pan. But you better not complain, boy. You get in trouble with the man.
Midnight Special. Paul Evans, the original. Plays in James Carville. This week's picks with James Carville and Jeff Ma are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Tough week, 0-3. I felt so bad for you. You went. It was 48 points, and you went the under, but you went the over rather, and you had 47. Whatever it was, you lost by half a point.
47.5. It fell 48. It was like 10 points at the halftime.
Yeah.
I mean, that and the Green Bay loss. Every gamble, you get some you shouldn't get. Some getaway you thought you got.
It happens.
But we ain't interested in anything but winning now. We got to close out big time.
You are at Mount 500, even with the bad week after a great week. 53, and 2. So we got 2 games, and you got what kind of bets? What do you want to do this week?
Both three bets, all double.
Okay.
We don't care about 500.
Okay.
We're going for the downs.
Okay.
Broncos. Yeah, try to get +5. It's 4.5 to 5. I wouldn't buy the hook. I know it doesn't. 4.5 to 5 doesn't sound like much, but these playoff games, half a point can be a lot.
We had 5.5 yesterday when we went on the PTI show. We talked about the fact that Denver at home.
Well, let's just call it 5.
Okay, we'll give you 5. We'll give you 5.
5. Okay. And Seahawks at -2.5.
Yep. Yes, still.
Yeah, jump on them.
So you will take Denver +5 and the Seahawks -2.5.
That's correct. And then in the AFC game, the Patriots-Bronco game.
Yes.
It's an over. What do you see? The over. It's really low.
I think you said 42.
42. Go to over.
Take the over even with a substitute quarterback and essentially a rookie quarterback.
Right. You know what? I know Sean Payton.
Yeah.
He's going to figure a way. If he don't win it, he's going to be very close. Coach Payton, he's not saying, "Oh God, we lost our quarterback, we done." No, that's not the way he operates at all. I think that this is one of these things where I think it's a trap game if New England. I really do.
All right, so I know Sean Payton a little bit, and he's very impressive. And the fact that one of the first hires he made 3 years ago when he got there was to bring in Stidham as an insurance policy indicates he really likes this guy. Doesn't it, James? It does indicate that.
It does.
Yeah.
I'm just to tell you that I've seen that guy can adjust. It is hard, but he's got some things going for him. And I guess after the Super Bowl, I say I'm a believer now, but I don't know why I'm a New England skeptic, because there's no reason to be. There's utterly no reason to be. It's just, I don't know.
All right.
By the way, did you see the most stunning thing I saw before I go? Is that the Indiana-Miami game got a much bigger audience than Ohio State Notre Dame last year? That shows that conventional wisdom knows nothing.
Yes.
I would have never thought that.
Yes. I can't explain it, but I can tell you that ESPN goes wall to wall with that more each year, whatever they got, because they own all of college football, and they built that up. They built it up, and people liked the game. It was a close game. People liked it. So
it was. killed me on the under, but it was a good game. The Indiana story, I think, is the best sports story of my lifetime.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Yeah, and what it proves is now, with whatever the system that's in place is now, you can win. This guy Signetti comes in, and he wins quick. He wins quick at a school that lost for 120 years. So, yeah, it's a great story. It is a great story. All right, good luck, James.
We're aiming for the Super Bowl. I think we're going for 4 in a row.
Well, you got doubles all this week. Good luck. We're rooting for you.
We're going in. Okay, man.
James Carville. James Carville told us off the air that people recognize him from this show, want to talk about the bets that he's making on this show.
Actually tracking his bets.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I really do. I mean, I used to talk about Carville as my famous friend, James Carville.
Your one famous friend.
Yeah, and I have such admiration for what he did with his life, for essentially, if not inventing political consulting, certainly making it household name. You know, he became a household name, James Carville, because of political consulting, and seems to enjoy his life more than most.
And taught me how to shoot a pellet gun.
Yeah, he did. He showed you that and told you to break bottles of wine. Yeah, full bottle of wine. Just break it. Is Jeff with us?
Jeff is with us.
Jeff Ma's with us. He's the winner. Jeff had a 3-2 week, not a great week, but both Chuck Todd and James Carville had bad weeks. Jeff was 3-2. He's 53, 43-1. He wins. He's had the best year of anybody. We just had Carville on the phone, and he talked about the Indiana-Miami game a little bit. You mentioned that maybe in hindsight, there should have been something to do with because Miami covered, but did you think that they should have gotten less points because they were playing at their home stadium?
Well, yeah, I mean, the question becomes, and we talked about this about the process, like one of the challenges in modeling this game and figuring out what the right line should have been is how much home field advantage do you assign to Miami? Again, we've talked about there not being like a real understanding of where home field advantage comes from. Does it come from the noise? Does it come from the familiarity? What does it come from? Does it come from the refs reacting to the home crowd? So I think there was an interesting question with how much home field should have been assigned to Miami in this game, and was that line of 8.5 that actually ended up kind of going down before game time, was that the right line? I think a lot of people thought the value was in Miami in that game, and yes, they did cover.
They did cover, yeah. I mean, I will say I was a little surprised. Chuck Todd had him all year, obviously, but he loves Miami. I was a little surprised because Indiana had wrecked so many good teams. I mean, Indiana won, but that was closer than I thought. There was, and then it went to 47.5, right? 47.5 was the over.
Yeah. So it ended up going over by half a point.
48
because of that field goal. Yeah, a game that really seemed like it had no business going over. There was certainly not very much offense in that first half. Ended up going over.
Nothing in the first half, really. Yeah, it ends up at the end. Kills Carville. That's his one great bet. It kills him. What did you think? I don't know that we're going to have weather this week. I don't know that there's weather in Denver or weather in Seattle, but what did you think with the weather in the Rams-Bears game and the Patriots-Texans game?
Well, we will definitely have weather. It's whether a question of whether we have bad weather.
Yeah, that you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think what's interesting is, when you go into these games, you try to figure out where are there some level of inefficiencies from the market. Where can I find some amount of what we call alpha, some advantage over the market? And, the Rams have played, one of the narratives that's coming in is this Rams offense is struggling. This powerhouse offense is struggling. But they've played in two very difficult conditions. The Carolina game, the wind was much worse than people would think. And people always think like cold or rain are the most important things. And sort of it's wind. It's wind. And the wind in the Carolina game was big and gusty. And similarly, obviously, the conditions we all saw in Chicago were not great. So I do think the Rams are going to have a bounce.
Oh, twice. Okay. Here we go. Here we go again. So this plane cannot climb super fast. We are learning. Maybe we should switch our plane. All right, now we got to redo all this. Where are we at? Right here? Where were we? So we were just there. I think we were here. All right, so right about there. Set as departure. So the flight conditions. I reckon twice in one flight. I'm doing great. All right, let's do that. Save and back. Start flight.
Weather in Seattle is going to be, on the mildly cold side, so it's going to probably be anywhere from, at game time from 35 to 43, but there's going to be very little wind. So I think the Rams offense can come back there. Denver, I don't think there's any weather conditions as far as I see.
All right, so who you got?
I mean, this is a really tough week. I mean, if we start with the Patriots-Broncos game, I think in a regular season situation, I wouldn't take either side of this because there's so much uncertainty with Stidham. I think the question is, what do you think the line would have been in this game if Knicks had played?
I think Denver would be favored by 2 to 3.
Yeah, so if you believe that, then there's no way that the Patriots should be a 5-point favorite right now or 4.5-point favorite. I think the thing that would have surprised people as I've talked to people is I think Denver would have only been a very small favorite, or it even might have been closer to pick 'em.
Really?
In this game. And so the line move of about 4.5 points is what people think the Stidham to Knicks difference is. And so that's how you get to this line being like relatively fair. Now, again, if you think about where is the alpha, the Broncos defense has not played particularly well in pass coverage over the second half of the season. There's many teams that have torn them up. They obviously still get a lot of pressure. I think if the Patriots can, avoid turnovers, they're going to be able to get the ball down the field. And now Drake May has not been great in the playoffs so far. He's turned the ball over.
Yes.
And so it's big to think about them covering 5 points in a situation like that where we're concerned about his turnovers. But now the other thing is the Patriots defense has played much better than people realize, and especially the last few games as they've gotten injured guys back. So I'm going to take the Patriots. What do you have, 4.5?
We had 5, but we had 5. But okay. 4.5.
Yeah,
4.5 is what's out. 4.5 right now. 4.5 is what it is.
Yeah. I'm going to take 4.5, and I'm also going to just give some bonus here. I'm going to take the over in this game. I think Stidham is going to be able to do a little bit enough offensively to make this game, Patriots put up some plays, and I think the Patriots are going to be able to score something against the Broncos. So I don't think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think the over 42.5 or 43, whatever you
42. Carville just took it.
Yeah, we gave it to Carville.
Took it at 42. We'll give it to you at 42.
I love going to Carville's bookie. It's great.
Yeah. So you'll take Denver and over.
No, I take the Patriots.
Take the Patriots. I'm sorry. Okay.
And then in this next game, the Rams-Seahawks, again, where do you look for alpha in this game? The alpha is that maybe the Rams' offense is fine. I mean, the question, I guess, that's a little worrisome is whether Stafford has an injury on that finger that they've shown a few times. Mm-hmm. That's what's causing him to throw the ball. But, he threw a lot of great balls in that Rams-Seahawks game, the Rams-Bears game, but the conditions are rough. I think one of the most underrated things in this game is Zach Charbonnet not playing.
He's out.
Not because of a running situation, but he is their pass protector. He is their pass running back. He is much bigger than Walker is. And, while the 49ers game set up perfectly for Sam Darnold, like in a situation where he doesn't see ghosts because there's no pass rush, the 49ers can't get any pass rush on, this sets up very poorly for him. And he lost his running back. This is best pass protector. Kenneth Walker was too small to be great in pass protection. They don't even leave him in there in pass protection. So, again, that's going to be a pretty underrated thing in this game. I like the Rams plus the 2.5. And I actually like the over in this game also, so I like the over 46.5 in this game.
So you have 4 bets, 2 overs, New England and the Rams.
Yeah, I get up at 5:30 in the morning. I got to get some texts.
Yeah. That's good. This is good. All right, who's on Bet the Process this week?
We have a guy by the name of Adam Levitan who's on, who does something called Establish the Run, which is a site that puts out projections for player props and things like that. But we talk a lot about some of the player props that are in these next. Do you know what a player prop is, Tony?
I know it's that kind of bet that seems to be attracting federal agents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, the thing he said is the Kenneth Walker under and passing yards. That was one of the things. And then in the Patriots game, he said the Austin Hooper anytime touchdown at like 14-1. So those are your bets.
Austin Hooper, I've never heard of him. I've heard of Dennis Hopper, not Austin Hooper. Jeff, thank you. We'll talk to you. Thanks, Jeff.
Tony.
Jeff Ma, boys and girls, and this week's picks with James Carville and Jeff Ma have been brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. You'll see that although they both took one over, they differed completely on the games. James took Denver +5 and the Seahawks -2.5, and Jeff took New England -4.5 and the Rams +2.5. We will come back with email and jingle. I am Tony Kornheiser.
Does it ever feel like you're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show?
Of a famous movie line, "'Twould that it were so simple." Jeremy Vint. You don't think of snow and ice when you hear that. You think of liquid warmth.
That's the sound of grapple falling on the 9th green.
That's right. Yeah. A real term. We learned that term a couple of weeks ago. It's that little ice balls, and they don't.
Yeah, don't stick.
They don't stick, but they stick on the green, and they change the direction of the course. They're sort of hollow. They're really weird. You want to do the Bethesda bagel?
Like a finishing salt? Like a finishing salt?
Like a finishing salt, yes.
Oh, yeah. But yes, Bethesda Bagels, we love them. You will as well. Just go to BethesdaBagels.com for the location in the DC area nearest you, then pop one in, and you'll be thrilled.
And before we get to the mailbag, let me just say 'twas in another lifetime, one of toil and blood, when blackness was a virtue and the road was full of blood. I came in from the wilderness, a creature void of form. Come in, she said. I'll give you shelter from the storm. That's Minnesota's own.
Yes.
Thanks to our guests today, Jason Samino, Jason Lockenfora, James Carville, Jeff Ma. Thanks as well to today's sponsors. Remember, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Odyssey. If you get the show through Apple, let us know. On the weather, the subject of the weather, a haiku from Shad. Snow chance is rising. Word significant is used. Snowma possible? Snowma possible. I like that. Trevor McDonald, please let Tony know if Reginald accepts payment via check or rolled quarters for his plowing services.
He likes quarters.
David Epstein, New York. Your incredulous reaction to a snow forecast of 3 to 24 inches was understandable, as it does sound crazy. On the same day you received that information, I called the New York Department of State and was told that my hold time to speak with an agent, hand to God, would be between 7,074 and 7,079 minutes. Hard to know whether to be depressed by that length of time or impressed by the promised accuracy that for a call coming a week later, they can narrow it down to a 5-minute span. I haven't met an astronaut, but that is NASA accuracy. From Scott McCordney in Orange County, California, is the betting line for snow going to be 1.5 feet? If so, I will be like Carville, and I will take the over. From Sean Burden, I was wondering if you would arm wrestle me, just for fun as friends. Who cares who wins? So for fun. I'm in Sherman, Texas. Let's bring it on. Let's meet and do it. Fun arm wrestle. What? No, seriously, what?
It's a very strange request.
From Patrick Sitter in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, our friend. I wonder if Peter Goldstein, Levittown Division Class of 79, has met an astronaut. Just tie the show together. From Kelly Pierce, PhD, psychologist, Alexandria, Louisiana. I don't know if you've heard this, but Richard Dent was MVP of a Super Bowl. That's it. That's
Really?
the email. Yeah. Just gets mentioned a lot.
It's the only defensive player ever to win, right?
No. From Kevin Korn in Seattle, Washington. As someone who grew up in Ellicott City and now resides in Seattle, I too had difficulty learning the cities in Washington State. With their Native American roots, it can get quite difficult to know the proper pronunciation just by reading, but you quickly get corrected because many of the tough-to-pronounce cities have a popular casino. To spare you from all the littles writing in with their tough-to-pronounce cities, I thought I'd give you a guide. Snoqualmie is one. Spokane, not Spokane.
Okay.
Mukilteo is one. Tulalip is one. Puyallup is one. Sequim is one. Snohomish, and I know that town. Sammamish, Yakima, not Yakima, Yakima, you accentuate the first syllable. Chehalis, I've never heard of these towns. Enumclaw, and tell Josh Greenberg to eat it, and that we don't have to do with any pronunciation. Will Sprague, I grew up in the D.C. area. I went to DeMatha High School. Shout out to David Aldrich and to Mark Maskey, who also
Oh, that's right, yes.
went to DeMatha. I now live in Tampa after playing college golf at the University of Florida. Shout out to Michael, fellow college golfer.
I mean, different levels, but yes.
Yeah, Florida. I've been reading, listening, and watching you since the late 80s. Please keep working, old man. 2025 was the toughest year of my 51 years of life as we lost my wife, Jackie, of 27 years, a mother of 2 children after an 8-month fight with pancreatic cancer. I would not have been able to keep my sanity through all of it without this show. It gave me a sense of normalcy in a life that was thrown upside down. Thank you. The kids are doing surprisingly well, perhaps a testament to the strength of their mother. We have a long road ahead, but we will be okay. Hopefully you'll accept my application for the official Gator golfer, Florida Gator golfer, the Tony Kornheiser Show. See the attached picture as I made my first trip to the original Bethesda Bagels over the holiday. Bagel sandwiches did not suck. Yeah, he's got this in. So if you're a Florida golfer,
that's legit.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like Florida, Alabama, Ole Miss.
SEC, yeah.
This is the path to the tour.
Yeah, this is, yeah. So he must be,
as they say, a stick.
Must be real good. He's a stick. From Lyle Bartlett in Brownsville in Washington State. Recently, a Seattle publication posted the following comments by Mariner GM Justin Hollander. Quote, we have been big Jose Ferrer fans for a number of years now. We think presently if we make no changes to him, if we don't do anything to help him get better, if he just stays the same as he was, or as a 25-year-old, he's one of the best left-handed pitcher relievers in baseball today. What? You know, he was better as a closer than when he came in earlier in the game, where he was just terrible. This is the same GM who plucked Victor Robles off the Nats scrap heap and turned him into an integral part of the 2025 Mariner playoff run, which ended only a few outs short of reaching the World Series. Obviously, the addition of Jose A. Ferrer promises to make the M's the lead dog to contend with the Dodgers in the 2026 Fall Classic, and we will be scouting the Nats this year for our next acquisition. Well, you could have had Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah.
Mackenzie Gore got traded for a bunch of prospects. We have not dealt with that in the show, so we will deal with that now. Mackenzie Gore was the best pitcher on the Nats last year.
All-Star, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was on the All-Star team. But the Nats had 2 years ago an All-Star who hasn't pitched since, right? Hasn't pitched since.
Yeah.
So if you can get a really good everyday player for a really good pitcher, you do that. And allegedly in this trade, there's a third base prospect.
Yep.
Which the Nats need.
It was the 12th pick in the draft last year.
The Nats need a third baseman. Now, it's a long way from the draft in baseball to being a good baseman. It's not like basketball. It's not like football. It's not. The long way.
It seems like it's faster these days than it used to be.
For some,
yeah. Still could be years.
For Jackson Holiday, not for all. Yeah. And then you have problems in the majors. Because you know what? You're playing against people much older and much better.
Perfect landing.
Much better. Anyway. Mike Roseberry, State College, Pennsylvania. I picked up a client in Oneonta, New York about 10 years ago. So I get to make the drive from State College about 4 times a year. I pass by your old stomping grounds of Binghamton, but also the small town of Horseheads. And each time, in a respectful, somber manner, I whisper one word, cartoon. Never met an astronaut, but if you gave me the chance, I'm pretty sure I could get 90% of the lyrics to Space Oddity right, which is nice. If you're out on your bike tonight, everyone, do wear white. And tonight's okay, but if you're out on your bike tomorrow night, be careful.
Yes.
Want to talk real customers? Kid, that's me. I'm like the mayor of Dunkin'.
I go from
Marblehead to Revere.
All right, so we had some issues this flight, 2 wrecks and a terrible landing on a patch of a hill, really, as the plane is in that tree back there. But we're going to continue on from here next time. We're going to say the plane's fine for next Friday. But yeah, we will see you then, as we got like 8 seconds left. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.